This week's episode is in partnership with Intact Insurance, here for you and for everything you care about. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Jann Arden podcast. Once again, it's like a traveling minstrel show. I am now in Montreal. I started off the morning in Somerville. No, geez. You know what? Slap me. This is how tired I am. Summerside. So all the people in Summerside, don't write me letters. Summerside. And we grabbed a flight this morning, and now I'm in Montreal, and it's pouring rain, but we're in a really cool hotel downtown. But you're listening to the Jann Arden podcast. I'm with Caitlin Green. Adam Karsh, our engineer, is, of course, in his studio at home. How are you guys?
We're good. Well, speaking on behalf of Adam, we're good.
I'm okay.
Toronto's sunny and beautiful. I'm sad that you're in one of my very favorite cities in the whole world, probably. I love Montreal so much. And it's raining.
Yeah, it is raining. I got here, of course, and people are always asking me about being on the road and what the big priorities are. And it's always finding something good to eat, and especially on a day off. So first time in a week, I think 7 or 8 days, I have the full day off other than traveling. I went on my Happy Cow app and I looked up vegan restaurants, and I found a place called the Copper something. I don't know. I'm not doing any service to the Copper Barn, Copper Craft people. And it said it was open, and I got my little Google walking app out, and I marched in the rain, and I left the dog here in the hotel room, and I marched, and I did everything right and got there, and it was closed.
Oh no.
And it said it was open on the app. So I went into a grocery store. I bought popcorn and a Zevia, and I just was so disappointed that I thought so I think Chris and I are going to order something from Uber Eats or Skip the Dishes or one of those things. We're going to order something around 6. So right now I had popcorn and a pop, Zevia. Mm-hmm. Zevia does not sponsor us, but I wish they would. And here I am.
If I can recommend, especially for a lunch or on the go thing when you're in Montreal, there's a really great, well-known salad place called Mandy's.
It's here now.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
They have one on Ossington. I think it just came here.
Yes.
Okay.
Mandy's amazing, and you're vegan, so your average deli stuff not going to be for you, but you're in the land of bagels.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I would have gone into everything, but you know how you have your mind set on something?
Yeah.
It's like ordering something at a restaurant. It takes 30 minutes. It gets in front of you, and it's the wrong thing, or they've put the dressing on the salad when you ask for it on the side, and then you're just like, I can't eat a Caesar salad with that much dressing. And they're like, can we get you something else? Can we fit you some? Mm-hmm. And I always try not to be a pain in the butt. And honest to God, I have sat through some meals where I haven't complained. I haven't said anything, and everything went wrong. But I have an extreme amount of empathy for the servers. Mm-hmm. I think I was a server when I was in my 20s. I was terrible at it. I had people that were so mad at me and so angry, and walking out on I was terrible. I'm not going to make up any stories. I was probably the worst server that Canada has ever seen.
Canada's worst server? That should be a new reality show.
I should be, Caitlin. Canada's worst server on a boat.
Well, I think that I'm such a travel nerd that anytime I hear of anyone, they're like, I'm in a city, this thing didn't work out, I just instantly start trying to problem solve. Are you near the old port of Montreal, the old portion of Montreal?
No, I think I'm on Rue René Levesque. And that's a long road, isn't it? Am I making a fool of myself right now, everyone in Montreal?
I don't think so.
René Levesque Boulevard. I'm not kidding you. I'm on René Levesque Boulevard.
Yeah,
and I won't say the name of my hotel, but the hotel is gorgeous. It is so contemporary. There's 2 giant television screens in here, so I have every intention of watching a movie. Chris, my road manager, will save me. We'll do something on Uber Eats or something. He said he would deal with it. He said, pick out something. We'll phone and make sure that they're open, that they're bringing food to hotels, and, that'll be that. But I'll tell you what, I feel so grateful to be out here, you guys. I feel so overwhelmed with emotions and joy, and happiness to be standing on a stage with musicians and lights and happy people sitting in the crowd. Like my mind is just spinning. I feel great.
I'm following your journey, and it's bringing me a lot of happiness to see your pictures.
Yeah. And it was nice to see you. It was really nice to see you in Europe, obviously. And we've talked about that extensively, but it's cool to get back to touring Canada, isn't it?
It really is. You look out at the crowd and we're in pretty big open spaces right now. I'm doing arenas. So lots of room. There's air coming in. You have to imagine these are hockey rinks. So you can imagine the size. So, I mean, your ceiling is 100 feet high. And so I think people feel pretty good about sitting shoulder to shoulder. And most of the shows have been sold out. I'm going to say 1/4 masks. I think if that, but absolutely, I really encourage people, whatever their comfort level is. But it's so great to see people with like a beer and a glass of wine and sitting there. And even the first night, we had a really drunk woman that kept hollering things at me. She wouldn't stop. She was very enthusiastic, let's put it that way. So I'm singing away, and sometimes the lights flash so that I can see the first 3 or 4 rows. So that happened. I kind of engaged with her. That was my fault. She was having a great time. And then, I'm going to say 2 minutes later, I looked over there and they had been taken out. So I guess they were just too disruptive. So our tour is off and running. And then night before last, people started screaming at me. I could hear them through my in-ears. Just vague, stop the show, stop the show. And I knew it wasn't a joke. So I stopped what I was doing and I said, put the house lights up. And a gentleman had fainted.
Oh.
He just keeled over in one of the rows and fainted. And
oh my gosh.
By the time they were calling for a doctor, he was super embarrassed. He sat up. They sort of got him back on the chair. I couldn't see where it was. But, we just stopped everything. I told everyone to stay where they were seated. So, we've had a little bit of drama. He was fine.
He just loves you so much that he passed out.
That's love.
That's right.
And that's adoration. I took his breath away to the point where I asphyxiated him. But yeah, we've just had, it's been interesting. It's like someone said, it was worth waiting 724 days to see you. So they literally were counting how many days since we canceled the tour.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long time. I'm realizing that I'm going to see you in Toronto.
Yes.
I think that's going to
too.
be my first show since lockdown started. I'm trying to think. I went to a hockey game, but I think this is my first concert, which is pretty crazy.
Well, I'm going to do my very best to make it a good one for you, Caitlin. I will not embarrass you. I won't call you out. I won't have you and Kyle come on stage and dance or, sing back.
I'm going to get drunk and then you're going to have to escort me out and then I'll faint.
Well, you know what? The more you drink, the better I sound. So just
Perfect.
keep that in mind. Listen, we got a few topics to get to today. Thank you for indulging me of my whining and complaining that the Copper Kettle Craft or whatever it was closed. Right into passive responsibility versus active responsibility.
Ooh,
Caitlin,
yeah.
I'm going to have you take this one. Explain to us what that is and how it's a marriage therapist. It took to TikTok. This is where this story kind of started. So
Exactly.
I'll let you take this.
She's I guess like a TikTok famous marriage therapist, a relationship counselor.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes on to explain the number one thing that she sees her female clients complain about in their sessions together. And she breaks down the difference between passive responsibility and active responsibility in a marriage.
Active responsibility would be you looking around the house for things that you could do. Passive responsibility would be being available to help, but waiting for somebody to tell you what needs to be done. This is one of the top things that I hear from women as a complaint, that their husbands are waiting for them to tell them what needs to be done. And they're really looking for a partner in life who is actively responsible for the house and for the children, and not waiting for their wife to tell them what to do.
Okay, so thoughts on that?
I agree with it. And we talked about this on the morning show this week, and it was like a runaway freight train of women agreeing with this statement. So I think it's really cool because no one ever, I think the biggest thing we heard was that everyone was like, oh, I never knew there was a word for this. And basically it's interesting to see that women are all saying, I'm tired of like nagging my partner. I'm tired of having to tell them what to do. And it creates this weird, unhealthy dynamic. And it's not very romantic. Which is because you can see how that would happen. You're like, not your mom. Is that, yes, technically you're around to help me do stuff around the house or help with the kids, but it would be great if you kind of knew and just did it instead of me saying, hey, we have to think about dinner. Hey, we need to go get groceries. Hey, like this is a mess right now. And you are always stuck in that role.
You know what? I'm just going to throw this out to the men of the world or the partners of the world, the people that are sort of on that side of the fence, vacuuming, walking dogs, doing dishes, taking out garbage, putting your stuff in the laundry hamper. This is foreplay. This is foreplay. This will get you sex. Yeah. This will put you in a position. It will give you leverage in the bedroom. So if you decide to be active, to not, like you said, passive responsibility, if you don't have to be told to do something, my gosh, in any workplace, someone who is self-motivated and that can do things without, I'm not talking about, trading $40 million worth of Twitter stocks without your boss knowing, but, picking up the Hoover or unpacking the dishwasher without somebody having to ask you.
Yeah. And we actually heard from a few male listeners who said that they noticed, I have to get better at doing this because I don't act this way at work, but it is something that I need to start bringing home with me. Because at work, if your boss is always telling you what to do and having to nag you to do something and you're not taking any initiative, then you wouldn't get ahead. And so it was a kind of an interesting brain wrap around there. Yeah. And it happens, you get settled into your dynamics, you get used to something. You're like, oh, well, she's really good at this, so she always does it. And then it just sort of becomes this ingrained behavior. And next thing you know, you're in couples therapy and then your therapist is talking about you on TikTok.
I was going to say, what's so funny about this is that if you're going to TikTok for your therapy, the world has really changed in the last 20 months of where people are getting their, I don't know, valuable, helpful hints for relationships. Anyhow, it was a very interesting story, but I think a lot of our listeners can relate to it. And maybe it's, I don't want listeners writing us and going, it's not just the guys. It's not just us. It's our wives too. So if you're in a partnership, maybe it's the other way around. I don't know. But it seems like from her experience that it's mostly men.
Not to freak you out, but things go wrong all the time. Accidents, flooding, fires, it's life. Crap happens. That kind of stuff can be hard to control. But what you can do something about is how you deal with it. For me, the trick to avoiding getting overwhelmed is having a plan. This is one of the reasons why I've partnered up with Intact Insurance, who know exactly where to start when something goes wrong. They're here to help and talk you through every step. First step, check out their great claims hub at intact.ca/claims to see how they can help you make the best out of a bad situation.
And we are back. Jann Arden Podcast, Season 1, Episode 1017. No.
132.
132. Well, there you go.
Not bad.
Something has happened recently that I'm very proud of. I have suddenly become very fashionable, very trendy, very cool. I never thought that I'd see the day. It's taken me, 6 decades, but I am very trending right now. And that trend is, get ready for it, folks, coastal grandmother.
What is that?
Coastal grandmother's a new trend. It's kind of like a summer fashion inspo, and there is I would say like a social media celebrity commentator named Lex Nico, and she coined this, and she's not grandmother age. She's probably my age. But she said that she realized she'd watched so many Nancy Meyers and Nora Ephron movies that she started kind of embodying these lead female characters. And
Diane Keaton.
Yeah, Diane Keaton in, I think it was, what is it? What's the
in everything, basically.
In everything, but I'm forgetting the name of the movie that she's in with Jack Nicholson.
It's not Something's Gotta Give. No, that's not it.
That might be it. They're all kind of melting into one name for me right now.
You guys know exactly what movies we're talking about here.
Yeah.
It's the middle-aged woman, romance late in life, hasn't been kissed in 6 years, and is swathed in oversized sweaters and comfortable cotton cropped pants with flat shoes that you could walk a million miles down the beach. Of course, a scarf to hide the rings around your neck and a little bit of, gobbler neck and lines or whatever. But the big floppy sunglasses. Your hair is back in a loose knot with a phrase sticking out around surrounding framing your face.
Yeah.
And a little bit of lip gloss and a comfortable bra with no underwire and probably a sweater vest with Kleenex in a pocket. And you could perhaps even have comfortable jeans with rubber boots on. This is coastal grandmother.
Yeah, and it's coastal vibes. So whether that's East Coast on the ocean or it's West Coast on the ocean, if you're really just into a nice curated home and recipes and cooking and Ina Garten videos, then you're...
Ina Garten is big coastal grandmother.
For sure. And you're right. It is something's got to give. You were right,
That's
Jen.
the one.
You were right.
I was like, as good as it gets? No, that's not it. Anyways, but it's all these movies.
2003 it came out.
It's very good. Mm-hmm. So everyone's calling this like coastal grandmother summer, and you can see it in fashion. J-Lo was kind of wearing these like big linen suits. Anne Hathaway was seen in this monochrome outfit with a big straw hat on, and it looks like they're styled for a Nancy Meyers film. So it's very popular and it's kind of very cozy. And I just think it's the most hilarious fashion trend I've seen come out in a long time because we all know these characters and many of us, myself included, grew up watching these rom-coms.
Well, I mean, I catch a glimpse of myself in a mirror at some point in the day. And I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, once again, I look like a 15-year-old boy child who should have a skateboard under his arm because, I've got flat tan sneakers on today. I've got khaki pants on. I've got a ripped t-shirt and I had an oversized long white jean jacket. So when I knew we were doing the podcast today, I mean, I didn't do it on purpose, but I thought, oh my God. And I was going to throw this scarf on because it was cold in Summerside, PEI this morning. And then I put sunglasses on and I had a bun in my hair. And I just thought, this is perfect. But this is how I've been dressing for 20 years.
Mm-hmm. It's very comfortable. It's comfort forward because, you hear about there's like hot girl summer. That's one kind of summer you can have and probably a heck of a lot more revealing. But for those of us that just want to wear linen and talk about our hydrangeas and watch Ina Garten, you also have Coastal Grandmother, which is now in style. We're aggregating all of the content that's going around on TikTok so you don't have to because my heavens, there's a lot of it.
Do you think trends are kind of going out the window? I mean, I know everyone's trying to be in fashion and things get really hot and they get hard to find. There'll be a certain something that, Kate, Princess Kate will wear and nobody can find this friggin' red dress anywhere in the world and they're trying to copy it. And did COVID kind of have us all turn corners on what is fashionable?
Yes, I have my own. It's pajama pandemic. That's what
it's still there.
Yes, it is.
The sweatpants stuff. But I feel like people have really realized how little they need to go be in the world, or especially when you're working from home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fashion is definitely a lot more chaotic than it was before the pandemic. It was already kind of heading in that direction because streetwear had taken over so much that so many things became crazy, like sneaker culture just blew up. And then when the pandemic hits, nobody wants to get dressed up anymore. But I think we're going to see a small return to it. And we already are with restaurants in New York City. This was another thing that was going around, this story circulating online this week of a couple of very trendy restaurants in New York that when you made a reservation are sending you a text and they're coming and telling you about their dress code now. So they're saying, yeah. And
what? No skid marks on sweatpants. You got to have like a dress on.
Yeah. Well, they were, they don't want you to wear blue jeans. They don't want you wearing, cargo shorts, sweatshirts, all that stuff. And they don't want you wearing, under no circumstance are you to wear flip-flops. And I was like,
well,
I kind of respect it. I mean, jeans, I don't know, because jeans can look really sharp. So I think
Mhm.
it would be up to them to decide. But I think it's this general feeling of like sluggishness. And Jan, you circled in on this when you were in Europe, saying that their dressing was very different than ours. And it's not so focused on just sort of whatever you've got on, walking around shoes. And I would like to see just a little more. And I'm not saying fancy, uncomfortable clothing, but I'm saying like a pulled together look. It would be nice to see more of a pulled together look happen for people when they do go out for a meal to a nice restaurant. If you're just going fast casual, then who cares? Wear your Lululemons. But these are nice restaurants. And I think they were getting tired of people showing up in cargo shorts and flip flops and baggy golf shirts and saying like, well, this isn't really our vibe. Like, this isn't what we want.
It doesn't surprise me that I think there's going to be a real pendulum swing back to, I don't know, call it civility. I mean, the one restaurant is when they're saying, listen, we're going to remind you of what you do need to wear. And gentlemen, if you don't have a jacket, there will be a vintage Yves Saint Laurent jacket provided to you to throw on. You know, you don't have to wear a tie, but I feel like everything's going to swing the other way now. All this casual flip flops. Do you know how many men I saw in the airport today doing sliders with socks?
No.
I was just going to say air
Oh,
travel.
I hate it.
Again, we talked about this topic on the morning show, and we had so many airline employees text into the show and say, I've worked for Air Canada or insert whatever airline here for, decades. And the decline I've seen in how people present themselves when they are getting on an airplane is wild. And it's true.
It is unbelievable.
They wear pajamas and bring plastic takeout containers filled with food. And it's just like, I can't handle it. It's like, it gives me travel anxiety. I have enough of it as it is. But just when you see somebody walk on with, a big pile of takeout food in a plastic bag and they're in their pajamas, I'm like, I can't sit next to this person for 5 hours on a flight. Like, I can't do it. It's just too much for me.
But are sweatpants okay? Sweatpants?
No, sorry.
No?
I'm over the sweat. No, unless they are really, really beautifully. I don't want to see sweatpants either.
No,
But the amount of the sliders with the socks.
That I don't do.
And and then this guy was on his phone speaking so loudly, and Chris is looking at me and he's rolling his eyes. He's like, he says, that bugs me. And I said, I know. He said, does he have no spatial awareness whatsoever? Like, I don't get it. And I didn't understand it either. And he just looked, I wondered if he could see himself. Maybe I'm just being an a-hole. Because I just didn't like it. I didn't like what he had on. I didn't like his glasses. He was doing a Guy Fieri, and his glasses were behind his neck, hanging on his ears, the mirrored kind of aviator things.
Yeah, we know the look. You know the look, right? You see it coming. My husband was next to a woman on a flight, and she was doing the thing where you talk into your phone. So he was stuck. Everyone's stuck listening to both sides of the conversation. So she's just on speakerphone. And I was like, this is just etiquette. This is just manners.
You're listening to the Jann Arden podcast. We have so much more to vent about. Don't go away.
Not to freak you out, but things go wrong all the time. Accidents, flooding, fires, it's life. Crap happens. That kind of stuff can be hard to control. But what you can do something about is how you deal with it. For me, the trick to avoiding getting overwhelmed is having a plan. This is one of the reasons why I've partnered up with Intact Insurance, who know exactly where to start when something goes wrong. They're here to help and talk you through every step. First step, check out their great claims hub at intact.ca/claims to see how they can help you make the best out of a bad situation.
Welcome back to the Jann Arden podcast. I'm with Caitlin Green. Adam, our engineer, is here as well. I'm in Montreal, and everybody is in their respective homes. Listen, it's we've gone from talking about weddings last week, which I got so many fun comments from people talking about their destination weddings and going to them and the pros and cons and getting bridesmaids dresses and how much they were spending and how terrible the food is sometimes at weddings. We didn't really talk about that.
Wedding food. Oof.
Yes, wedding food. You know, you're going, I remember being a kid and you had two choices. It was the chicken or the fish. It was like being on Ward Air.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And it is sometimes like airplane food. And again, having gone through pricing it out, what they charge you for the airplane food that you get at a wedding is crazy making. So again, why we chose a destination wedding the way that we did, because I was just like, I'm not interested in spending this much money for a plate of food that I know my guests aren't even really going to enjoy. And then enter Italy.
What is the average that people spend on a plate of food? I don't know if you had looked into that, but are people doing like $25 plates for a meal at a wedding?
Yeah, I bet you it's gone up because I don't know what the
Holy
food.
hell.
I forget because the food, everything was just rolled into like a per head cost for us. And, you know, it included an open bar and it included obviously everything else that comes along with someone attending a wedding and being in the venue, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, that's why when people talk about giving wedding gifts, the idea is that you're trying to help the bride and groom cover the cost of you attending. So all of a sudden, if you're sitting here and thinking, okay, it's $125 a head, right, for somebody to attend the wedding, then you're like, oh my gosh. And it's probably gone up. I'm probably low. I mean, I think it really
that's
varies.
low. I think it's way more than that.
Yeah. If you're in Toronto, it's a lot of money. These venues really gouge people. And so they see you coming because they know it's a wedding and they're really going to like take advantage of it. So
I bet.
That's why we left.
Well, I wanted to bring this up. And to see what you guys thought of it. So I had a friend of mine that got married. She's from England, and she finally met the guy of her dreams in their 40s. He is a professional chef, so he sort of had these really cool ideas. They had no money. They just bought a house. They have a dog. You know, they're just up to their eyeballs in expenses, but they wanted to have a lot of their friends. They wanted to have a good party. You know, when you're 45, you've got a lot of friends and pals that you want to celebrate. Now, this is pre-COVID. So they had 200 people. This is in downtown London. I think they just rented a big empty hall. And what her husband had sort of set up was food stations. They had everything. He hired all these vendors that he had known and worked with. So they had chicken and waffles. They had hamburgers and things. They had Yorkshire puddings and roast beef. They had, you know, vegetables, all the stuff. And what they did is you came in and you bought your tokens. You got little tickets to go around to get your drinks, your wine, everything. So people came in and literally like, I'll take 20 tickets. And it was like a fairground. The Yorkshire pudding and the roast beef were 9 tickets. The chicken and waffles were 3 tickets. A beer was 2 tickets. And they made, drum roll please, £3,000.
Oh, wow.
So they said that they drank, their guests drank so much. They ate everything. Everything was eaten and drank. But I loved that idea.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you're hopefully factoring in that not everyone's necessarily going to give you the same kind of gift because they're paying to be there, basically, right? So that's and so if it's just this big fun food fest, then great. I mean, it really just depends on the people and the vibe and the venue and the food and, you know.
Well, they basically had a food court.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a great idea. Okay, now we've talked about we've been talking about weddings and being in a partnership. Well, there's also us singletons out in the world. And cuffing season.
Have you heard of this before, Jann, or is this a new term for you?
This is the second time that I've heard cuffing season in the last frickin' 2 weeks. So what I wanted to ask you, Caitlin, is, was this has there been articles all over the place? Once again, what is it? I want you to explain it to us. And how can I survive it?
Cuffing season has been around for a while. People have been talking about this for a few years, and it's the term, I think it started with all the dating apps, and it's the term for getting into winter, because winter is when people aren't going to go out as much. You want someone to hang out at the house with you. You want someone to be cozy with. So they say, you know, once fall starts to come around, you're like, ooh, we're coming close on cuffing season. And so all these people will get into relationships to literally hibernate together. Then you have uncuffing season, which is now. So all those relationships that maybe you thought might work out, they thought this could go long term. It's not going to. Your winter relationships are thawing. And now you are looking around and saying, I might want to get back out there. And I think a big uncuffing season is happening because it's the world as we're learning more to live alongside the pandemic and things are opening up again and people can go out more and they're traveling more and they're getting drunk at Jann Arden concerts. And so I think I'm seeing people break up. They're saying that their relationships are ending or they're maybe the one doing the breaking up and they're kind of loving it. And it is a bit, there's something in the air, even in Toronto, Adam. I don't know if you feel the same way, but like patios are busier. People are just,
absolutely.
My single friends are going out a lot more. And I have some newly single friends and they have uncuffed themselves and they are having the time of their life.
Well, I mean, don't you think you know if something is going to work out within a few months? Am I being really naive here? I just feel like people are more savvy because of dating apps, because of this rapid fire meeting people. You know, people are making decisions in 20 minutes over a coffee. He's not for me. She's not for me. You know, we're not going to be doing this again. Like, I'm still mind boggled when people are engaged for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that still happen?
Well,
but I think that I think now, you know, it's that balancing act between the easy access of swiping on people, which can become problematic and can make dating seem really intimidating for single people because they just feel like, you know, the grass is always greener syndrome is going to make it undesirable to be on all of these apps. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of getting a kick out of seeing everybody live their single life again because in the pandemic, I think cuffing season lasted a long time because no one could go out.
I still can't even get over it. It sounds very S&M.
It does sound very S&M. I mean, take it however you want. Whatever
does.
blows your skirt up, as Jann likes to say.
Oh, yeah. Well, listen,
but Jann, you always talk about how nice it is to be single and seeing my friends and some of my friends enjoy their single life again. You know, there are some perks. Like,
having
it's
the entire bed to yourself, eating a huge amount of your favorite whatever without somebody else's hand going into your bag of Chicago mix popcorn. Going out with your friends whenever the hell you want to.
Right.
Without checking in with somebody, without those constant, and there's something really nice about that last phone call of the day, but I also have really great friends that I FaceTime at night or text or, you know, are you going to bed or, you know, what are you reading tonight? Like I've got lots of those friends, you know, money, not splitting up your cash, like having not being doing triage all the time or, you know, I've been in relationships, I don't know about you, but where I've made people's freaking car payments for a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
But I wasn't married. I wasn't, you know, engaged. I'm just like, oh my God, seriously, you don't have, I mean, this is 20 years ago, but still, what a pain in the arse.
Yeah. Yep. I think it becomes that you realize you don't have to check in with someone and ask for their permission to do things and you kind of get to live your life a little more freely.
Well, I'm still advocating for singledom right now. I'm sorry that I missed cuffing season. I'm glad that I know about it and I'm going to be on the lookout. Listen, I was hoping to meet my wonderful mate at the Copper Kettle, the Copper Craft.
They jammed you.
Copper Branch.
Copper Branch. I was hoping to meet, I hope there was some hot, you know, somebody behind the counter. Anyway, you're listening to the Jann Arden podcast. And don't go away because we've got so much more to talk about today. You're not going to want to miss this. We're back. Adam?
Yes.
Adam, I don't care what you said. During the break, Jann Arden podcast, by the way, welcome. Adam's like, not even gray sweatpants? No.
But
no effing gray sweat. I mean it, Adam.
They're clean.
No one gets points for not wearing dirty clothes. You're an adult.
You don't have to care about fashion, but there are some great looking casual pants that don't have to be the Costco version of, and don't you want your bum to look good?
Yes, they're Roots. I mean, they're nice sweatpants.
The It's around the house.
Roots would like to sponsor us. We will advocate for your sweatpants.
I need a stylist.
I want just because, I think there are kind of athleisure moved into the main space so heavily that there are athleisure, that there are options now. Yeah. And usually your options are going to be, I don't have the right term for them, but you know how it's kind of like that swishy pant material.
Yes.
It's like it's a step up. It's almost like a technical fiber, and it has that nice weight to it. So, I mean, I'm sorry, but so you're not seeing the outline of people's crotch when they walk around, which is what happens to men when they wear cotton sweatpants. And it is an embarrassing look. And so the thing with these kind of black, heavier weight pants, they're still comfortable. Because if you have a long flight, I understand not wanting to be uncomfortable. You're not popping on a suit. Let's be real. But you can still look like you're not sitting on your sofa.
Caitlin, do you know what I thought you were just going to say?
What?
You launched into you can see the outline of a man's blah blah blah, and you said if you have a long, and then
I know what you're going to say.
I was
That's not what I was going to say.
God, where is she headed here? If you have a long thing, then you're going to want to listen. Instagram. Anyone that goes on Instagram a couple of times a day, like I do, I enjoy it. Mm-hmm. The advertising that I get on my algorithm is so that athletic leisure wear that you were talking about. They are pounding the messaging, and it's mostly to men. Upgrade your sweatpants. I see 5 different companies a day that are selling the idea, yes, we know you want comfort, but these are $129. They're good for travel. They're good for everything. And you will look nice. And you can actually throw a sweater on or a jacket and change your whatever those flip ding dongs off and put on a shoe, and you could go to a New York restaurant and be acceptable.
This is the thing. It really comes down to just when you've put some effort in, and when you don't. And I think that there's this notion that people can't tell, and I'm here to tell everyone that they can. Everyone knows the difference. I'm not trying to sweatpant shame people, but I feel like I've been really nice about this for a few years, and we've slid too far down the rabbit hole, and now we need to find that balance again where everyone looks like an adult when they go out.
Does dress for success still exist?
I think so.
Okay, well, when you have an entire generation of people that have been working at home for 20 months, they feel like they don't have to impress anybody. I mean, we saw so many faux pas the last couple of years of people not wearing their pants, just having a suit jacket and their shirt on for their Zoom meetings. And, some people that didn't have any pants on at all, that were like nude sitting there talking to their colleagues. But I don't, I hope it, like we talked about in the last segment, I hope it does swing back to a point where people are using part of their wardrobe they haven't even looked at for so long. Mm-hmm. I'm very proud of myself. On the tour that I'm on right now, and I thought a lot about fashion and about getting new clothes for every time I go and do a job. It's embarrassing. I walk into my closet and I have so many clothes. It's from photo shoots. It's things that don't fit me anymore. I'm too big for them, or they're too small for me, whatever. There's so many reasons to have all these clothes in your closet. My entire wardrobe, with the exception of a belt, a vegan belt that Chris ordered for me off of Amazon for $19, full leather. It's everything out of my closet, guys.
Ooh, that's very... Wow. I guess, environmentally friendly of you in a way.
Boots, skirt, jacket, everything. And, it's funny that we're talking about this. As I was going through looking at things that might work, to be on stage that could be bedazzled or something, I was like, oh my God, I just do not need this stuff. I have not thought about this jacket for 5 years. Not 2 years, not 5 years. Wow. I forgot I had this.
Mm-hmm. I think also too, you probably bought, because you knew you were going on tour and that you were buying these things for a reason back when you got them, that you invest in them a little bit. And it's not to say that they're crazy expensive, as you just outlined with your Amazon belt, but they work for like everything. They're interchangeable for everything in your wardrobe. Yeah, it's black stuff. Let's be honest. It's the Toronto uniform.
And people admonish me that all the time. They admonish me for, why don't you wear some color? And I always just know that it does hurt my feelings a little bit. Like, I'm not this person that is completely devoid of feelings. I do have them. but I get so many critiques about wearing color. And I'm just like, why do you want to do that to me? For one thing, on stage, black actually works really great with lights.
It does.
It's not distracting. And I don't know. I won't even get into that. But sometimes I just feel like people think I have no feelings. But I get that a lot about the color thing. Gee,
Yeah. You will pry black clothing out of my cold, dead hands because I do love it. But I know that I also really, when I do incorporate color into my wardrobe, I always say to myself, why don't I do more of this? But it's a lot to wrap your head around. And people do fall into a uniform, and everyone has their little uniform. And I think that's why sometimes I have to like reevaluate and go, okay, I have fallen way too far down my own uniform rabbit hole of jeans, some kind of a nice jean, a pulled together white shirt, sneakers, or like easy shoes, like loafers or something like that. And it's just, I stop having fun with it. And then every once in a while I'll go out and buy some color and take some risks. And I always enjoy it.
What did you wear to get married?
I wore a wedding dress. I wore a white silk gown and it had some lace. It was like lace was around. Oh, there's lace detailing throughout, but it wasn't all lace. And it wasn't a big puffy dress. I'll say that.
If you had to do it all over again, if you and Kyle had to do it all over again, would you do the same thing? Would you have done destination? Would you have done it that way? Is there anything you would have changed?
I definitely would do the exact same destination. I would go to the exact same place. I would do
cool.
all of that the same. I would maybe change the dress. And I thought that I was, for how much wedding dress can cost, I went low. I went affordable because I thought I'm only going to wear this for 8 hours. Even still, you only wear it for 8 hours and it drives me up the wall. We talked about this again on our other show, my other show that I work on this week. And Marilyn was like, but you look so beautiful in your dress. I don't think you should regret it. It was so great. The photos were so beautiful. But I just think of, I went to her wedding and she wore this really beautiful suit. It was like this white silk, cool suit. And as a result, it separates. And so she can wear it again. And I just wish, and my husband, obviously, he had like a custom suit made. He looked fabulous in it. And you can wear that again. So I do regret the outfit to an extent.
Well, listen, we have covered the gamut of getting married,
been all over,
cuffing, reusing clothes in your closet, getting rid of sweatpants.
Your sweatpants shamed Adam.
Right? But I feel cleansed. I feel somehow like we have tackled some big issues. We are clearly coming out of where we were at. Everybody go through your closet. Go through your damn closet and throw on, you know why people are wearing sweatpants still? They're scared to try on their jeans because they're like, these aren't going to fit me. And that's what I'm afraid of. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I looked at a pair of jeans the other day. I'm like, I don't want to do it because then I'll just be sad. So I'm going to go with what I know is fitting me right now.
Yeah, the transition back to hard pants, I respectfully understand that it's difficult, but we're going to have to make it, and it's just a size. Who cares? It's just,
I know. Who
it's just a number.
Exactly. Thank you, Caitlin. You're listening to the Jann Arden podcast. We love you. Subscribe to our channel. That way it'll pop up in your, okay, blah, 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 blah. Toodly-doo.